Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. In today's video, I have a new series where I'm going to be dropping at one location for 1 hour, and we're going to be seeing how much XP we get in total. So I will be doing this for each POI, and I'll try to upload a new video on this series every single day until we're done with the POIs. And after that, I may do some unnamed locations like Camp Cod, Weather Station, or any other unnamed location that has a decent amount of loot. The first location we will be going over is Lazy Lake because I know it. I know how to loot it, and I know how to loot it quickly as well, and I feel like I have the best strategy down for looting it as quickly as possible. How I started the timer right when I entered the battle bus for the first game, that's when I started it, but I let it run through even in between games. I think that's a realistic way of looking at how much time you spend in pre-game lobby and away from actually gaining that XP. The first thing I wanted to go over are a few questions I'm going to be asking myself throughout this series, and if you guys have any more questions you would like me to answer in these videos, make sure to tell me in the comment section. But before that, make sure to drop a sub, drop a like, and also use my code COBESMIND if this video was informative, if you know you're going to actually use this method, because I think it is pretty good. The first question is how many people landed there, and I'm going to give it a score out of 10. 1 being nobody landed there, that's perfect for us because we can get a lot more loot. 10 being the whole lobby was there, it's unplayable, you can't go there for XP. I gave this a 5 out of 10. I would say a little over half the games people went there, and when I say people, I mean multiple people, sometimes on my team, but they're still stealing loot. And for one game, I ended up dying off of spawn because another team landed there. I think there are a lot of better locations that you could loot at if you don't want people to drop on you, and this one definitely isn't one of them. For the bus route, I would have to give it 2 out of 10, 10 obviously being the best, 1 being the worst. I feel like none of the bus routes really helped me with this. Either it was a hot drop and so many people went there, or it was super far away and it took me forever to get there. A good example would be Steamy Stacks. Yeah, if it's really hot, there won't be any people there, but if it's far away, well, it's going to be far away and you're going to have to glide in for a long time. But at least if it's a hot drop, people aren't going to be there, and that doesn't seem to be the case at Lazy Lake, where I feel like a decent amount of people go there each game. How smooth was the looting route? I would have to give this a 10 out of 10. I love the loot path and it really feels smooth. Maybe that's because I know it well, but I really didn't have any problems with it. A very good example of a bad place to loot is Dirty Docks. I don't like looting there, even though I know there's a ton of loot. It just feels clunky, unlike this location, Lazy Lake, which I think is a great spot to loot at. Would I recommend people loot here for XP? I have to give this a 6 out of 10. So definitely above average, just because I think there is so much loot here, and I mean, that can be backed up. That's just a fact. But a lot of people seem to end up landing there, whether that be on your team or the other team, but there's a lot of XP if it's uncontested. Did I like this method for XP? I have to give it a 7 out of 10. Even if there are people there, I could typically kill them, and if there are just some teammates there, I still feel like I can get a ton of loot. The last question I have to answer is, did you get lucky or unlucky while recording? I would say I definitely got lucky, even though I had one game where I died off spawn. I feel like there could be more instances if I were to redo this. I could die 2, 3, 4 times off spawn, but I would say for the most part, yeah, I got pretty lucky. So now to get into the numbers, which I am excited to showcase because I think this is the most fun part of these videos. I put it at the end because I feel like people don't like it as much as I do, but hey, it's my channel. So for game 1, this is when I entered the battle bus for the first game. Like I mentioned earlier, it was 5 minutes and 58 seconds, and the total amount of XP I got was 5,700 480, and I'll show a picture of all the statistics on how I got XP. For game 2, it lasted a little bit longer. We had 7 minutes and 13 seconds. This is also including the time I ended the first game to the time I ended the second game. I ended up getting 6,195 XP, and I did fish a little bit. In game 3, the total time was 2 minutes and 17 seconds, and I only got one chest because I died off spawn. In game 4, the total time was 3 minutes and 39 seconds. There were multiple people who landed there. I only got 2,150 XP. In game 5, I'm pretty sure it was uncontested, but it lasted 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and I ended up getting 6,705 XP. In game 6, it was the longest game at 8 minutes and 24 seconds. I only got 6,415 XP, less than the shorter game or the previous game. I don't know exactly why this was the case. I guess I didn't search as many barrels, but I feel like I would get more XP the more time I spent. But in this game, that wasn't the case. In game number 7, it lasted 5 minutes and 54 seconds with a total XP of 4,790. In game 8, it lasted 6 minutes and 2 seconds, and I got 3,855 XP. I feel like in game 8 and 9, you can obviously tell by the drop off of XP that more people landed there. In game 9, I played for 5 minutes and 6 seconds, and I only got 3,845 XP. In game 10, it took me 6 minutes and 56 seconds with 6,505 XP. For game 11, it was my last game because I hit that hour mark, and it was 1 minute and 46 seconds, including the time it took me to load into that game and then finally get in. And I only got 160 XP. So the total amount of XP I got in that hour was 46,485, which I think is pretty decent. I did not include any time I completed any challenges because those are going to be different every hour. And if you don't have those challenges, well, obviously it won't count to this total. But the average per game was 4,225 XP. But the average per game without the early death in the last game was 5,132 XP. I would say at the end of the day, if you take away the last game when I hit that hour mark and you keep in the death, I think that is probably that number, which would be around 4,500. So the best game I had was 6,705 XP, and it only took me about 8 minutes, a little bit under that. Do I think I could average that? Well, if it was always uncontested, then yes, but people drop there, and those numbers, or that number, is not realistic. And the average time for each game was 5 minutes and 22 seconds. That might be a little bit closer to 6 minutes if I didn't add in that last game, but hey, whatever. And then all the time from loading into the game to my landing, that's how I totaled this. That's basically the time I felt was wasted, but is necessary to even play this game. So the total time I wasted was 17 minutes and 48 seconds out of the game. And what I mean by out of the game, either in the pre-game lobby, loading out of a game, or leaving the game, the time it takes for that, and also the time it takes to land. So almost a third of the time was wasted by just trying to get into the next game. And the average time in between games was 1 minute and 47 seconds. And what I mean by that, again, the time I left to the time I landed in the next game. So overall, my final thoughts, yes, 5,132 XP without that early death and the last game. It might be a little bit lower than that. I'll say the realistic number is probably around 4,800, maybe 4,500 to 4,800, I'll say. That would be the average per game for a game that lasts around maybe 6 minutes without that last game. But I would say overall, I do like this method. The only problem, I mean, there's just too many people that drop there too consistently. But if you want to try this out, if you like Lazy Lake, then definitely go for it. I did enjoy making this video, and I feel like at the end of the day, we can see what the best best location is, even if it's a small sample size of 10 to 11 games, maybe sometimes less. But the final total XP number we will be comparing it to next time is 46,485 XP in 1 hour. Let's see if we're able to break that with the next location. But if you guys would like to, make sure to tell me what location I should do next. I can literally do any location, a new one, an old one. And you know, the one I'm looking forward to the least is, what do you think? Salty Towers. That location will always have people there. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's whatever, guys. We're gonna have to do it anyways. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this was somewhat informative. I hope it helped you out a little bit, and definitely try it out. I love the location. Tell me what you guys think. Lastly, guys, use my code COBESMIND to help support me. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.